Hi, this is Jared French. I'm going to talk about the silent trial of Machen. Silent trial of Machen. And so, there's a picture of J. Gresham Machen and the First Presbyterian Church of New Brunswick, New Jersey. And we begin our review of this trial with the plaintiff and the defendant. The plaintiff is the Presbyterian Church in the U.S.A. Again, this is 1935. And the New Brunswick Presbytery is specifically who is bringing this up by appointing a Special Judicial Committee. This committee is convening to address Minister Machen's refusal to step down from the independent board of foreign missions. And so the defendant is J. Gresham Machen, who organized this independent board of foreign missions in 1933. He did so out of a zeal for doctrine, for conviction, and as an alternative to the liberal Presbyterian Board of Foreign Missions where doctrine is being pushed aside. This January turns into February 15th as a very specific date when the committee brings 6 charges against Machen, and they really revolve around human leadership not being listened to. And so it's a very authoritative position being taken. J. Gresham Machen's representative tries to dismiss this whole ordeal with 2 challenges. The first of all, that New Brunswick is no longer where Machen has his membership. He's been in Philadelphia since March 1934. And secondly, each of the members have known biases, the Judicial Committee members. This falls on deaf ears, basically, because they set the date for the oral arguments. And that turns into March 8th, where Machen enters a not guilty plea. And the committee then sets the rules for how the proceedings will continue. And they say no doctrine can be discussed here. This is strictly an administrative case. To this, Machen is actually then silent. Meanwhile, the plaintiff takes 55 minutes. March 29th then is the next date that rolls around. March 29th, the committee hands down a suspension. Machen is silent. However, he does make a public statement. And he says, I disobey this purely arbitrary administrative order. It was contrary to the Constitution of the Church. You see that the Constitution is where you take the God and you do have to exercise some human authority. But you take doctrine and then to apply that. And so you have this whole conversation is about doctrine. But they're not allowing that. And so then, because they're not allowing it, this turns into April 10th. April 10th is the annual meeting of the New Brunswick Presbytery, and they prove what the committee finds, and they sentence without debate. They continue to ignore the Philadelphia Presbytery, that Machen's in their jurisdiction. They do so because they feel comfortable with the direction of the entire denomination at this point. They represent the whole thing, which ends up kind of finding out. So I hope this kind of gives us a zoom in on the silencing of Machen, and I think it speaks loudly. It speaks loudly in the sense that this committee's actions are manipulative. This is a case of doctrine, but they won't talk about it. Machen, on the other hand, he stood steadfast. He said he didn't engage in this human level. He wanted to present Christ. Not a Christ who, as he said publicly, of a book containing human errors, but to know only a Christ presented in a divine book, the Bible, which is true from beginning to end. So he wanted these truthful lips. And so here we stand. I think we can make some evaluations of this case. I think eternity is going to make some evaluations of this case. The throne of Christ will make some evaluation. The silence will speak loudly. I'm curious to hear what you think on the discussion boards. We'll see you there.